Okay, I think I'm live. And so last time I was streaming on this channel, I was battling with trying to get Node.js to work with Bazel. There are some idiosyncrasies of my setup, so I think that was part of the battle. But in the end, I got it to work basically right after I uh, left, after I stopped streaming, which I think is here. So it was several days ago. And basically, I think the only thing I did was switch to Yarn, and I'm not sure why that fixed things. Maybe that kicked off some other thing in the back end. But now when I try to run my readability script, it fails, and that's the expected behavior because I'm able to import the Mozilla Readability thing, but it needs a document object to pass to it rather. So let's do that. I don't know how to create a document, but we'll see. Let's see if I can just grab some working code. This is JavaScript now, so this should be easy to find code examples for. So here's an example. They created JS DOM thing. Okay, so I just need to wrap my my HTML document in this JS DOM constructor. I don't think I have a dependency on JS DOM yet. So this document is, let's see. Well, this is just as good as my document, except it's better. Okay, so now I can't find JS DOM. Let's hope that this is relatively painless. I'm going to guess that I do this. So this @Mozilla thing was throwing me for a while. I guess this is maybe NPM like retroactively added namespaces. Or I don't know what they call them, but essentially namespace. And the thing I'm actually depending on is the Mozilla /readability package, if I understand correctly. But this notation makes it seem like I'm depending on an entire namespace or maybe like every package that Bazel knows about that's in that namespace. It's a little bit weird, but I'm happy that it works at all, I guess, at this point. I'm going to guess the JS DOM package is just called JS DOM. So I have this file now called package.json, which is a pretty terrible name because this is a multi-language repo. So package.json doesn't really tell you anything. I've decided that I'm not really into the npm package manager. But it is what it is. I'm sure I can tweak it a little bit. I'm going to just guess this is called JS DOM. We'll do a search on npm. Okay. Yes. So here, I don't know if this is, so 25.0.0 published 17 days ago. That might be too new. I also don't like that, the idea that in the Bazel world, the tendency is to have this caret thing, which, assuming it's like other languages, it means like anything after this. I assume that by now NPM is, what's the word? Deterministic. But it would be better, in my opinion, if we didn't like have to. So like now to reason about the dependencies in my apps, I have to reason about how npm how the NPM resolution algorithm works, how the Dart resolution algorithm works, how the GHC stack resolution algorithm works. It'd be far better, in my opinion, to just have a single version of everything, and that might be possible with Bazel modules. Actually, while that's on our mind, let's do a quick search. I don't know if there's some registry, right? Central registry. So I see some things like boost. Yeah, I don't know. So maybe in the future there will be some Bazel registry that makes this obsolete. That would be nice, but in the meantime, there are just these Bazel rules that are kind of wrappers around much, in my opinion, much worse package managers. Okay, so unexpected string. So this is some formatting error. The engine node is incompatible. Okay, so this is maybe saying it's too new, or I may need to. Okay, expected greater than or equal to 18. Got 14.17. So what is? Let's see. I don't know what 14.17 is. That is not bigger than 25. I'm guessing that maybe JSM 25 wants node bigger than or equal to 18. And I am at 14.17 because due to reasons, some of my dependencies are old and haven't been updated in a while. And so they're like locking me into the old world from several years ago. So until I update those, I should figure out some way of downgrading JS DOM, which might have security implications. Let's just pick kind of at random something from 5 years ago and see if it's too old or too new. Binary search style. I had to move my microphone because it was blocking my screen. I couldn't see what the error message said. So something about this standard error. But is it too old or too new? Undefined 6. I did something wrong. Those brackets seem to match. But it's a parse error. Is it a parse error to have? So maybe I added an extra quote, or it doesn't like the comma. Maybe I can't have a trailing comma. Okay, that seemed to compile. Let's see how high we can go. You're at what? 15 is good. Let's see if 18 is good. Let's see if 20 is good. What's a comment in JavaScript like that? So 15 good, 20 good. And what was it, 25 that failed? It doesn't like this, I think. I don't know what it's trying to save. Okay, so 25 is still too big. As you might expect, let's verify that 20 actually compiled and that that wasn't a figment of my imagination. Okay, so 20 is good, 25 is bad. Let's try 23. 23 is no good. How about 22? Nope. Okay, so 21, and then let's see if there's a something like a minor release after 21 that I can use. Is this just the year? I guess I should have recognized that 21.2. Let's try 21.1.2. Great. Although document is not defined, I guess that's valid because I think I changed the name of the variable. Okay, it says first argument should be a doc. But isn't it a doc? So it's a JS DOM. So can I go to this thing? Hey, what? Who told you to open there? What an application is that anyway? So type C, whatever, I or L to display a file name text entry box. If you don't like this file selector, use the corresponding key bindings to customize use file dialog to turn it off. Use the corresponding key bindings. That's so Emacs use file selector. This is maybe new. A file selector GUI. I think this is the right thing. I thought it was use file selector, but maybe it's use file dialog. So why can't I go to this thing? Yeah, okay, so it's called use file dialog. I'm just curious if this is new or if something just changed on my system to cause me to use it. $2020. Well, I don't want this, but thank you for telling me how to turn it off. Okay, but why can't I just go here? Does Bazel not know about this file? Okay, line 33. So if what? If options and options document element, doc equals options, blah, blah, blah. Else if not doc or doc doesn't have document element, then we error out. Okay, I guess that's not real type checking. It's just, I guess it's a little bit like duck typing. So let's console.log the doc to see what it has. These buffer switching key bindings are different for like every version of Emacs that I use. I've got like 3 different versions with different key bindings. Why? I don't know. But I need to rationalize that. Okay, so when I print it out, I get a JS DOM thingy with some CSS stuff, some XPath stuff. It looks pretty documenty. But no document element. Okay, so if I had followed this correctly, it's telling me to go to window.document. And I'm pretty confident that this will succeed now. Okay, so it finished successfully. I don't know what it did. It just assigned a variable. Okay, cool. So let's print out why not? Let's print out the article. Uh-huh. My 1-year-old has started talking, and one of the things she says is, wow. Those are her favorite words right now. Okay. Now what do I want to do? I worked so hard to get here. Now I'm not sure what to do. Okay, so now the thing that, well, let's just do the next thing. The next thing is let's iterate over all of the, well, what? So this example document is so small that I don't think it's very informative in terms of what readability tells us about the about it. So that's fine. We at least know that readability works. In fact, I'm not even sure what type it is. So if I do, so how do I print out types? Are there even well-defined types in JavaScript? You can use document write. Will that print it to the console? And is the thing that readability returns also a document? Okay, article write is not a function. So readability is a function. And you give it an HTML document. And we've got, this is maybe like a hook for post-process content. Run any post-process modifications to article content as necessary. Okay. So I guess let's use that. So it's a function of article content. This, I'm a little bit confused because this seems like it's a This has an implementation. I don't know if this is the default implementation. Let's see if there's another reference to post process content. So I don't know if I implement something it's going to. Whatever. So I guess I'll just operate on the thing that I get back, but I'm not really sure what I get back. So is it returning the text, like the inner HTML text? So let's log it again. It seems to just be a JSON document. Although we do get a length, and we get some text content. And we have an undefined excerpt, the site name. All of this is good. It has no title. I guess it has no title because there's no HTML title. And we do have some IDs, some div IDs. Readability page 1, classes page. Look at this cat. So I had defined my own IDs, and now it looks like I either can't use them or I have to modify them. I don't know what goes into a page. Let's find out. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to just be able to pipe things into here. Is that possible? Maybe it's not possible. Maybe I'll just call it on a function. Okay, so now I need someone to tell me how to read an argument from the command line and process a file. I'll just have the AIs tell me how to do that. That has to be pretty well trodden ground at this point. So in this JavaScript file, I'll say it's Node. It should be able to detect immediately that it's Node. So in this file, add a command line argument that so now I have to think about do I want to process in batches? Why don't we do both? That reads that takes in an HTML file from a command line argument, and 2 runs readability. I guess we have to like parse it into JS DOM. Has JS DOM, parse it, and then runs readability on it. And 3, that's it. I should have my includes here. I guess the includes are what requires. Okay. Oh, this is pretty ugly, actually. Is this how people live in JavaScript world? Okay, so we don't have, you can't see all the imports in one place. We have these require things. Are there imports in JavaScript? Imports versus require. What is the difference between require and import? The simple image will help you understand the difference between require and import. You can't selectively load only the pieces you want with require, but with import, you can. Loading is synchronous step by step. For require, on the other hand, import can be asynchronous. The major difference is that require will automatically scan node modules to find modules, but import, which comes from ES6, can't. Most people use Bazel to compile import and export, which makes import act the same as require. I don't want to have to add another dependency. Is require the older thing? Old versus new. But which one's the old is what I want to know. This looks like it was written by an AI. And this image looks like it was created by an AI. All right. Is require or import newer in JS? So require is synchronous. Import can be asynchronous in certain contexts. Import is newer. I don't know if import works for me, considering I'm on older things. So let's try it out. So first of all, let's go back to a state that we know runs. And so I can't use import statement outside of module. Well, I'm not even going to bother figuring out what that's supposed to mean. Okay, so now let's do this. So we can require fs, which I'm going to guess stands for file system. We have this argument of parsing, which is pretty hideous. We're just going to check the we're going to check the argument length and console log an error and call process exit if it fails. If there are not enough arguments on the command line, and then we're going to set the HTML file path to process argv of 2, regardless if there's a flag or not. And then we read the HTML file with UTF-8, which I guess is fine. And then we pass in what is probably some sort of callback function. If there's an error, we call process exit 1. That's going to kill the process. So let's call this no, I don't want to exit. And then we create a JS DOM instance of the thing. Why is it passing in a new URL? I don't know. And in fact, what's even going on here? Why is it passing in what looks like some sort of JSON object? Well, I guess that is the thing. I suppose I have to tell it where the URL is from. And then we run readability on the parse DOM and we log the article. I guess we can exit for now. And then what? We'll put these requires also at top. And this is now not needed. Okay, we exited abnormally, probably because we didn't give it enough command line arguments. I'll ask ChatGPT, can I have normal flag parsing so that the user has to supply a flag like file? Yeah, so I have to use a library for that. That's, I think, reasonable, but now I have to evaluate which of these libraries I want to use, and that's too much work for now. But this doesn't seem to log any error message here. Oh yeah, it is. Okay, yeah, this usage thing. Okay. Good times. Let's run it. And I need an HTML file. Let's see if I can read from standard in. Okay, so I have to call some. All right, I'll do that later. Okay, so now we have a file. Okay, so no such file or directory. I think this is because why? Let's try the full path. Okay, so now we have a file that's been readability processed. It's a little bit slow. Some of that might be Bazel overhead. In fact, probably some of it is. Okay, so we have a bunch of weird stuff. Okay, so maybe the problem is this is not actually an HTML file. We've got this new line stuff. I don't know what that's supposed to be. We have a title and a byline. Directory is dir is LTR. I don't know what that is. Oh, that must be direction is left to right. Let's open the file in Emacs instead. Okay, so we have this metadata now, which is good. That means I don't have to parse it. And we have a bunch of divs. I'm not sure I really need all those divs. And what is all this? This is maybe like table data. In fact, it is definitely a table. What are these new lines? I don't know. And they're not like, I guess, HTML encoded new lines. You have another table. I'm not sure if how much of this is just a single string that's concatenated versus a JavaScript element. I think this is one JavaScript element. What is JavaScript mode by me? Can I collapse things? Yeah. Okay. So this is just one string in content, and this has arrows here because this is a long line, but these are all miniature lines, and the I guess the plus sign is just doing string concatenation. So we had some like page one stuff. So we have readability page one, and that's it. So how would we even get page two? Is it just not long enough to have a page two? And length is this. So first of all, why are there all of these new lines? Is it just to get spacing? Let's just grab the content. Well, no. We can't just grab it because it's got this weird kind of like formatting. I wonder if maybe the library offers a way to re-render it as HTML. Okay, so the reason you pass the URL is so that readability can convert relative URLs, blah, 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 to their absolute counterparts. That's a useful service. Thank you, readability. And it suggests using DOM Purify. I will do that. In fact, I'll probably do that in a couple of minutes. I don't know where it gets the excerpt from. Maybe excerpt is just something that's supported in some HTML documents. Car threshold, the number of characters an article must have in order to return a result. Classes to preserve. Okay, key classes, disabled JSON LD. Okay, that's something I don't know about. Allowed video regex link density modifier. Okay, and we can parse is probably readerable. A quick and dirty way of figuring out if it's plausible that the content of a given document are suitable for processing with readability. it produces both false positives and false negatives. Hmm. So let's see what I assume that these plus signs are like long string, um, that this is valid JSON. In fact, does this say anything about what it returns? Maybe it's not actually supposed to be printed. Maybe it's just returning an object that I'm supposed to do something else with. So the parse runs readability. It returns void. Grab the document by removing script tag, CSS, etc. Build readability's DOM tree. Grab the article content from the current DOM tree. Replace the current DOM tree with the new one. Read peacefully. It says return void, but here it's actually returning something, namely this. And it's calling serializer on article content. And we have text content. Content is equal to this serializer article content text content. What does that mean? Hmm. Let's see what serializer does. Okay, so serializer is just going to call. You can pass it in maybe some other serializer, but otherwise it's going to default to just grabbing the inner HTML. And so maybe what we were doing down there is like passing the text content to the serializer. Well, let's just ChatGPT. In this function, what is text content doing in the object? Okay, it's being used as both a value and a property name. As a property, text content is the key in the return value. It likely holds the plain unformatted text from the article's content without any HTML tags or other formatting. And then what is length? Length is text content length. So, but I don't see a text content. Oh, there it is. Okay. And we start with cat temporal range. That's the only reference to cat temporal range. Oh no. Here we go. Okay, so the text content is a bit messed up because you can see here that there's no space between cat and temporal. I think ideally there would be there, although there's this p. Oh, there's a p tag, right? So there should be a break, I would think. And so this should be HTML. I will also ask ChatGPT what it thinks about these plus signs. I don't know what they could be other than concatenation, but I don't remember seeing that in JavaScript or YAML. Maybe it is in YAML. I don't know. So in this bit of HTML, actually, is it only in the HTML bits or is it also in the text content? Yeah, it's there too. Okay, so it sounds like it is for string concatenation. All right. So we'll grab this. This is now a smaller piece of JavaScript. Do I have the, what is JShell? It's Java. What's the JavaScript util? JQ? I guess I don't have it. Oops. Oh, I do have it. Okay. Invalid numeric literal. Column 1. On what, 11? What? I assume I've butchered this document too much. Can it read the it can't read the output of whatever it's called. Of it can't read the whole object either. Maybe I've done something wrong in console logging it. Invalid literal at line 2, column 8. Which is what, a colon? I say in our script above, write a after the article is processed, write it to the file foo.json. Maybe I can call like JSON stringify. Is that a thing people do? How is this? Okay, this looks better. Now we have quotations around things. So I guess that's just really what I needed to do. Let's try that again. And this time we'll pipe it into the more readable file. And then we'll rename that file so it's more correctly spelled. This looks more promising. We've gotten rid of all of the plus signs. And but we've kept a lot of the new lines, which might be a feature of the actual article. What is going on? Is this really how the world works? Okay. Right. Before Christ. Shouldn't that be BCE now? There must be a Wikipedia page that isn't before Christ. Okay. So now we have this and content. Let's pass this into JQ. So I guess that like pretty prints it for me. So what if I do, there's some dot thing, right? Okay, so I can ask for things like text content maybe. I guess I don't have command completion about content. And that should be more like an HTML document. In fact, it might be literally a valid HTML document. There is text content with a capital C. I have to go in a minute. So this text content is probably not bad. So let's do text content.cats, and then we'll get the regular content and call it cats. Something with HTML. Okay, so now this is the HTML file. it's not bad, except we have like a bunch of literal new lines still. I still don't know if that's a feature of this particular article or if this is the way that everything is in the world. But it's clear that we're going to have to do some post-processing to clean things up. So the cats file is not executable, as you might expect. And again, here we have a bunch of new lines. So let's pick maybe a more recent article, something that happened more recently in history. So the Wikipedia article, and it can't be too old. How about I don't know. What's interesting? So if I highlight all /ns, I do get a bunch of stuff. How about ChatGPT? So ChatGPT does not have a bunch of /ns, it looks like. But it should have like a works cited page, right? We have references. Okay, so for some reason, it seems like some of these articles have tons of new lines everywhere and some don't. And my guess is that the new line style has faded away. This is part of some script. All right, so what have we learned? I'm not sure. So the parsing works, the readability works. I don't really have a good way of assessing whether this is the right algorithm because there's so much more work to do to parse it before it becomes actually readable. What if I just get rid of all of the new lines? Does anything break? Let's try it. Over 1,000 new lines. Things still seem readable, and now there are no new lines. So it might work just to strip all of the new lines. I don't think that they're doing me any favors. Preserve new lines is set to false. That's for pretty printing HTML. So there's this JS DOM parser thing. And we have test pages. So here's an example in their test files where they have two new lines. And let's see if what options they're calling it with. Ehow2, I guess is what it's called. So I could have a thing that strips white space. Maybe there's an option to configure it. Is white space, white space, white space. What is this thing? That's for configuring what some stuff gets mapped to. That's the HTML transform thing. Is there like a trim? Okay, so yeah, I don't know I don't know if there's like a best practice here. So the readability, so the article I'm calling readability on has a lot of extra new line characters that are still there after running readability. What's the standard way of handling these? Okay, so it's just doing string find and replace. Okay, that's fine. It has this, it implemented write file for me, which I think I told it to. Yeah, I guess I'll just copy this over. Might as well add this to the file, and then we can play around with it later. Okay, so there. Is there anything else I want to do before I have to go? I mean, I do have to go, but is there anything else? So once we get this, once we get the basics right, then it seems like we're left with a page that's been cleaned up in a lot of ways, but not all of the ways. So I have to figure out whether I want to remove HTML elements before calling readability or after it. And I'm not sure about that yet. And then I need to add the custom tags. So I need to walk over everything and add tags and stuff. But really at this point, this is all I need JavaScript for because they have this readability library. And the algorithm for readability looked non-trivial. And it didn't seem wise to re-implement it from scratch. However, if it's not doing a great job, maybe there's an alternative approach. But I guess my gut is telling me that it's better to use this library for at least the first round of parsing. But then any other parsing I need to do, I don't have to use JavaScript for that. I could write a bunch of JavaScript, or I could just write the file, write the file to disk, and then parse it with a language that I like better. And I guess I'm kind of leaning toward that. So readability will do kind of like a first pass, and or maybe it's even the second pass. So I'll have to figure that out. And maybe the last thing before I go, I want to check whether there's any information about what becomes a page. I think it was readability dash page. We already created a fake div thing, and there wouldn't have been any siblings left for the previous loop, so there's no point in trying to create a new div and then move all the children down. Just assign IDs and class names here. No need to append because that already happened anyway. So we call it readability page 1. Is there a readability page 2? No. When is the last time this was updated? 9 years ago, 3 years ago, 10 years ago, last month. Avoid repetition. 3 months ago. Okay, so it seems like this still has eyeballs on it. So my guess is that it's better to have this be the first pass with some like DOM purify or whatever it's called beforehand, before I send it to readability. And then I think I'm just the JavaScript will get it out of the way and it will be post-processed by some some Haskell or some other backend language.